Hello, welcome to Flower Juice. My name's John McDonald, and today we're going to make an arrangement really using some spring flowers. Now, I've collected some flowers from the garden. I managed to find these lovely little hyacinths that are not as full as ones that have been planted like this year, so they've got a lot of power in them, but they've been ones that have been coming up year after year. We've got some lovely narcissus, we've got some ivy, I've got some iris that are commercial, and I've just got a little mix of some garden materials from spring. So we're going to make a little hand-tied arrangement, but it's going to go into a little pot and it's going to have some little details that I hope you find enjoyable. So let's get started. So really the first thing we need to do then is to just lay out our materials, especially the foliage. So this is a good opportunity just to clean off the bottoms of the leaves. So obviously with like the Aralias, we don't need to do that. I've got some nice twiggy pieces, but again, we'll take off this material that's at the base. And this one is better off because it was sitting too low on the stem. So we've got a couple of bits there. And I wanted to cut some forsythia. And again, we're going to take off any material that's sitting low down because it's a little bit of a problem. So our container is quite dumpy. It's not a big depth to it. So we're going to make quite a compact style of design, but that's actually going to be in keeping with our little highlight that we're going to do. So we're just laying out all our materials really. And this makes it much easier to actually get started. So the first thing I want to do is just look at what makes a good, strong center for our design. And putting these two back to back with our tying point kind of being here is actually going to work really, really well. This is quite a big element, so we want to put him in quite early on. And I think we want to have our twiggy bits quite early on as well. So basically I'm going to spiral things. It's not so important, but I think it's a good habit to be in. So it's worth learning and it's worth just using that technique all the time actually is a good idea. So a little bit more of the forsythia. And this is really just to give us some volume. And we've got some buds and twigs just coming in to create some different things. Now we're going to add our little feature, which is going to go into here. To make our little nest, what I wanted to use was this as a base. So this is basically a wire and vine sort of ribbon. It came on a roll, it's been really useful. I've used it for quite a lot of things, but it's got a little bit of strength in it because it's got the wire. So we're going to take a little bit off the end. So what I've done is I just kind of scrunched it round, concentrated it in, and we can just borrow that from there. So now because that's on a wire, I can bring that back round and just weave that in. So this is our little frame for our nest, but we can weave in some other bits. So really, there's not a right way or a wrong way. This is just one of those things where you just have to see what you've got, what you're best to use, and how best to make it. So obviously I think some twiggy bits for the outside is good. Don't worry about it looking messy to begin with. It's going to look messy first, and then it should get better. This was just some kind of vine sort of thing that was down on the bottom of my fence. So really, initially when I thought I'm going to make a little nesty highlight, I had some dried bear grass, and I thought this is really perfect because this would make quite a good little nest, but actually it's a little bit too perfect. I think a nesty feature needs to be a little bit rougher and a little bit more variation of materials as well. So it can't just be one thing. So actually that's quite good, just coming through it from the thin. So this is a bit like making a little wreath, actually. But we probably need to have a little bit more of a base as well. So we can bring that in a little bit. I do like these. They're really good. But I also got some other little just twigs that I thought might be interesting. So if you are making something like this, you're best to use twigs that are still green. And this is very much a thing of, you need to do it before the leaves really come out, because then you're in trouble if you wait, and not in trouble, but you're going to have to take all the leaves off, basically. I'm just kind of doing that just so I can see where I'm at. This is one of these things that you can just kind of enjoy making it and don't over worry about it. So it is interesting, the idea of adding details to arrangements. And obviously we've had a real phase of people being quite blingy with things, which is good. Nothing wrong with a bit of bling. But I was once told by a very good designer that make an arrangement and then look at the details of your arrangement, yes, but also what detail could you add? What could you do to make it more special? Is there a little highlight you can give it? And that could be a natural thing or something different. So this was just some dried grass from the garden as well. So I'm just going to add that in. What I liked about this was it has quite a nice texture with these little bits. And I just want a little bit of moss. So this is just a little bit of flat moss. And a little bit of reindeer moss. As I say, this is all about just actually texture and detail. And you don't need to worry too much about it being accurate. So that is our little nest, which I think is quite cute. But we really need to be able to anchor it as well. So we need to have a little look at that. And I think this is quite a strong gauged wire. I'm just going to pick my way through it. So basically what I want to do is come back to here. and make a bindy bit. Now you could tape that with some pot tape just to hold it as well if you want. I'm going to tape this all the way down with the corsage tape. The reason being that it'll stop the wires from rusting, which will help keep the water clean, which will be better for the flowers. So that is our crazy little nest. Just want to keep the wires nice and low. And when we finish, if we need to, we can add some little details as well. Some other little bits. So like little bits of twig like this could go in, is possible. So that's our little nest. And let's continue. Now I say little, it actually looks quite large. We'll see. I really want it to be as if it's slightly hidden. So we'll just have it in there. I think the iris are better coming higher up. I'm not taking really the foliage off the iris because it's in good condition. It's not a problem. These materials are great for adding like a collar to our design. So and with our ivy we can just manipulate it so we really see it. Now we don't want any leaves below our tying point. Now we can start to add our flowers. So I really want to just put our hyacinth in. Kind of low down. Oh, he's broke. As I say, these were already in my garden and they've come up every year, so they're obviously quite happy. At the back is a little bit sheltered, it's a little bit kind of woodlandy, so this is just the kind of perfect place for those little hyacinths. Just going to move that really around. Yeah, he's really too short. We can even come through our nest. Now I'm loosening my left hand, and by loosening it I'm just allowing, hopefully, the stem of this daffodil to travel through. So I really want this arrangement come bokeh to just feel a bit wild, a bit natural. It shouldn't feel contrived. It doesn't need to be laid out in a certain way. It's not a formal bokeh as such. So we're really creating, hopefully, quite an interesting bokeh. I think at the moment the very natural style is really popular. Just going to take one or two of them quite low down just to take a little bit of weight into the design. And I think we'll bring another iris over here. So when these open up, these are going to give another element of height to our design. So that is kind of where we're at. Is there anything I would like? I actually quite like a little bit of conifer in things. It was definitely a material that I never really thought much of, but now I can appreciate that it gives a different texture, a different element. And if you're going to do a garden design or a design that's garden inspired, you've probably got a bit of conifer in the garden. So it actually looks right in this setting. And that's just giving us a bit of volume. So that is our little design. We're just going to tie that off. So I'm going to use some raffia. I'm just going to catch it with this hand. Go round it 2 or 3 times. And then just tie that off. So you're probably thinking, well, why bother tying it if you're just arranging it in a vase? Well, in a way, it allows you to pre-arrange it, but it's also very easy for doing a change of water. So if you're going to basically have this in clean water and you want to change the water, which you should do, this is going to give you very easy, just take the bunch out, change the water, put the bunch back in. So we're going to have to go quite short with this, and I'm just going to go straight across. Now, come across the wire there, so we'll just put that one back up. And we'll try this for size. So that's actually still sitting a bit high. So seems a bit wicked. Now sometimes you'll find that narcissus exude a lot of juice, and that's a bit of a problem. My suggestion is probably just leave them out so they dry out a little bit, and then you can actually put them into your arrangement. So the stems are slightly dried over, but they'll still take up water. This will slow down their progress for development. So we've got some depth in our design. We're kind of going off in a bit of direction with this one. A little bit of damage there, so we'll just take that off. And we'll bring that one back in. This was too long. And now we can look at what we might want to add in the way of some details. I've got this really nice wool, and this is from Lehner Stylet wool, and it's Lehner floral at AT. So basically it's Leather Stylet. It's a company in Germany or Austria who make wool products, and they're really, really nice. They do such a big range of things, and I think just a little touch of that in there would look great. So this one I really like because it's actually on a wire. And I don't want to overuse it and make the thing look a little bit odd, but that little bit of wool I think is quite cute. Yeah, they have some beautiful products. And for people who like doing crafting sort of things, then that's just perfect. So really what I want to do here is just add one or two little touches. So I've got these little eggs. You could put little chocolate eggs. The choice is yours. And I've even got these little bunnies that you can use to make little highlights. So you can add these details if you want. If you really don't like them, then you don't need to add them. So there we go. We've got a really fun spring arrangement. We've got a nice highlight in it that was fun to make, and maybe this is a project that you could do with the kids, depending on what materials you've got with you or to hand. But maybe they could make something and you could just get simple pot, make a spring arrangement. So a nice little project and a nice little feature to have in the home at this time of year. Now, you might not like Easter eggs, but I like chocolate, so you can't go wrong with chocolate as an alternative to just the decorated eggs. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, then click here to subscribe. If you've already subscribed, then thank you very much. We really do appreciate all your support. Now, another arrangement that we have, you might want to have a little look at, is this double daffodil design. So this was an arrangement that we made which gives you some ideas on how to use daffodils. Daffodils can be a little bit tricky, and what do you do with them? Other than stick them in a vase, what else could you do? So if you click here, you can have a little look at one of our previous videos that was a little bit fun, and again, maybe a good project for kids. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great week and a great weekend.